There is backstage heat on Borck Lesnar after an unplanned spot at the Royal Rumble. AEW have announced their first house show tour, and there was a title change on AEW Dynamite last night. Stay tuned for the news. So the Royal Rumble was actually quite a decent show overall, right? It was a good Rumble match. There wasn't too many surprises, but one thing that was a surprise was how crazy Borck Lesnar, I almost swore there, how crazy Brock went.
I don't think it's so surprising because it's Brock Lesnar, but it still kind of came from, it came from a place of pure rage.
And I think he sold it perfectly though. Obviously he was playing up to it and all that. He was eliminated by Bobby Lashley from the Rumble. He was only in the match for 3 minutes, which is crazy for Brock. But after he was eliminated, he sat at ringside and he sort of gave a little smirk, a little smile, and then proceeded to destroy the ringside area. He threw some steel steps around. He chucked some announce table into the ring.
He grabbed a referee, launched a referee into the audience.
And that particular spot is something that maybe has garnered him a little bit of heat backstage, because Fightful Select have learned that the outburst has caused heat backstage amongst his peers, saying there were a couple of people in the ring and ringside who weren't prepared for the stair spot and didn't know it was coming. The spot where Brock Lesnar threw a piece of the announce table into the ring was also unplanned, and one source said, "We knew a freakout was planned and it's Brock, so expect anything and everything." However, the spot that seemed to get Lesnar the most amount of heat was an unplanned situation with the referee Eddie Orengo, who was thrown over the barricade. Now, he literally grabs him by the head. And he got a front row seat. He's
like something out of Conan the Barbarian.
It was we've seen Brock lift referees up by the smallest amount of fabric before, but Brock just threw him around like he was nothing and into the ring, into the audience.
It was like human fall flat.
It was exactly like that. He's just sort of flailing about. But Fightful were told initially that it looked like that Eddie Orengo, the referee, suffered a possible foot injury, but they're not really sure on the current status of him. He was supposed to be the referee that had the big moment that raised Cody Rhodes' hand at the end of the match.
That sucks.
But he had to have that changed because he had to then sell the injury, because he can't no-sell Brock.
Mania main event instead, surely.
Eddie Orengo versus Brock. That match. We've seen referees mix it up in the ring before.
Eddie Orengo just goes out with a lead pipe.
I think it'll still be better than Brock's match with Dean Ambrose back at WrestleMania 32. It's worth noting though, when Fightful was told about this and had it confirmed, one source said, "He is a relative term for Brock Lesnar. He's not going to get in trouble. He's certainly not going to be fired like Crime Time was. It is a new regime, new rules, and I'm not sure anyone involved was mad or not, but some people backstage were."
Just he gets back through the curtain. "Brock, you've hurt the referee. What you oh, come on, man. What you?" And he's like, "Oh, you still got referees that don't have bones that are made of rubber? UFC has that. Jesus."
Exactly.
God, you're not even cool, guys.
But props to Eddie Orengo. Most referees would stay down for 45 minutes, to sell the spot. He was back up fairly quick, even with an injury.
It's just, it must be, especially if you weren't expecting it, just get yeeted like that and not really know how or where you're going to land.
He landed in the front row in the crowd on probably some steel chairs.
If he landed on some people, they could have at least, cushioned the landing.
I feel sorry for the people in the front row.
No, they're part of the action.
They're part of the action.
Yeah,
that's what you get when you pay a
on the
front
network,
row seat. But the big outburst from Brock, setting up that whatever WrestleMania match he's going for, probably Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, it's sort of been telegraphed, and that you put them together, and it's just going to be beef on beef, and it'll be a good 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
I guess it looks like that was a surprise spot at the Rumble that people didn't really know what was happening, and another surprise spot at the Royal Rumble that people didn't really know what was happening was Booker T. Now, Booker T made his return, I think, at Entrant. Now, I want to say 20. Right. I can't exactly remember. Let me know in the comments below if I was right. Booker T was talking about his Royal Rumble appearance during his Hall of Fame podcast, and he said, "I was sitting at a table at the kickoff show and I got a text message, and it was the invite telling me, 'Book, you're in the Rumble,' and me, I'm old school. Something told me, 'Bring your gear, make sure you're ready, just so you don't have to get ready or stay ready,' and boom, there it was." It's exciting to see Book in the Rumble.
It's definitely made, it's grounded me, Booker T being in the Rumble. I don't think I'm ever going to go for a wild Rumble prediction again.
Yeah,
I think
we sat here
we're
last
in a different era, man.
we were like, Muta's going to be in it.
Muta, come on. But Yeah, it was surprising, and it must be like, if Booker does indeed bring his gear to every single show, you must feel like Batman.
Oh yeah,
where it's just sort of like, oh right, somebody's injured. Oh, I need to jump in.
Well,
and he just suits up.
He spoke a little bit further about that. What did he say, Sam? The text message came through. What did he say?
He said, okay, here we go. Just like when I won the world title, my first world title, and had about 10 minutes to warm up. So that's what happened. I wasn't warmed up. I went out to the ring cold. I didn't have that gloss. I didn't have that shine on me. I wasn't lathered up. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
And ready to go. I didn't get to jump rope for 45 minutes to get the heart rate up, get the blood flowing, get the blood pumping. I would have won that damn Rumble if I'd just been able to prepare properly. That last minute text message definitely slowed me down a little bit, and this has got to be a story heading into Mania.
Absolutely.
Who delayed the sending of the text message to Booker T?
It's a conspiracy.
Booker T versus like Steve from The Office, and it's like, how could you forget to message me, Steve?
Imagine if Booker T
and it's
won.
Steve Austin, but just dressed as an intern.
It's the referee that got attacked by Brock.
We've got another spot.
Imagine though, Book won the Rumble, and it's like he's like, well, I'm off to challenge Roman at WrestleMania.
I wouldn't be angry. Come on, it's Booker T.
Well, Booker T has explained that perhaps he got the late call up. His theory is that he thinks Rey Mysterio went down with an injury, and I think they had to fill that spot. Who better to call? They said, hey, let's give Book a shot at this. Like I said, I had my gear with me. Then he gives some advice to some young wrestlers. All the young wrestlers out there, don't show up without your gear. I won my first singles championship because Rick Martel did not bring his gear. That's a true story. You gotta be ready. So big advice from Book there. Any young wrestlers out there and are watching this video now, always bring your gear.
Yeah, if you're on the bus to work right now, you don't have your gear.
Yeah, you could be in the middle of a
shift.
shift.
You could walk in and there's a show going on during your shift, and that's it.
You could be anywhere. A match could happen. You could get that text saying you're in the Rumble.
It's weird though, isn't it? It's like weird happenstance, like the way just little things like that, and just always being prepared will kind of open more doors for you.
Considering he wasn't warmed up, he did really well, and like still looked great in the role. And he did. It was a fun little trip down memory lane having Booker T in there. But we're going to jump over to AEW now, because AEW had quite a big Dynamite last night. There were some really good matches on there, and they also had an announcement, or rather it happened after the show. In a press release, AEW announced they will kick off their AEW House Rules live event series on March 18th in Ohio. AEW have spoken recently about their interest in running live event shows, which is particularly why Jeff Jarrett was brought on board, because he can help facilitate the house show circuit. From the press release, it says the first AEW House Rules show will take place on Saturday, March 18th at the Hobart Arena in Ohio, featuring Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, and many more. Now, it looks like tickets will be $20 plus any fees on top of that, which kind of gives an indication as to like what the standard, the size of the show will be, how many seats they're hoping to sell. But it's exciting. AEW getting to do some house shows. Hopefully we'll see them come over here, because that's what we want to see.
Yeah, I think it's a long time coming. I think it's going to allow AEW talent to kind of just work together more in and around like an environment that always feels a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Like whenever I'm at a house show, it just feels... it's not a pay-per-view, it's not live Raw, it's not really a show like that, but there's just that kind of more laid back, entertaining slant to it. And I think that having that time on the road for talent to be able to gel that maybe don't often get to work together or haven't really been in and around each other on TV could yield some positive things. People might start coming up with great ideas or great little feuds, and on top of that, just add an extra polish, getting the name out there to many, many, many more towns. And
it's also allowing them to test the markets in different towns. So see, what would work here, getting them to test different feuds out, being like, we've not had Jon Moxley versus Takeshita in a feud.
Ticket sales here indicate a pay-per-view would do amazingly. It sort of gives you all these breakdowns, I think.
Now, the press release says that further show dates will be announced in the coming weeks. Obviously, that's just their first one. My hope is that when they do come over here for their televised show, they do maybe a little house show loop as well. Come to Newcastle. We'd love it here.
I'm sure WWE have done that before, like around one of the tapings.
Yeah, they'll do a couple of other shows.
A couple of other shows.
When they've got Pac on the roster. He's from here. Get him booked.
Yeah, you just do the match on the Quayside. Take Jericho back to the Triangle.
Yeah, even broadcast television from here, and we can be sat in the front row.
We've got like an ITV and BT office, BBC office. Tom knows BBC
Absolutely.
people.
Well, speaking of television and the king of TV, Samoa Joe has regained the AEW TNT Championship.
Just smushing Darby Allin into just mush.
God. Like, that was brutal. like really brutal. Samoa Joe defeated him in the main event of last night's Dynamite. It had weapons. Thumbtacks are weapons. It had exposed mat on the ring.
Yeah, an avalanche muscle buster.
Oh, it looked painful. It looked really, really sore. I can only imagine they are waking up in a lot of pain today.
Yeah.
But
with
Joe,
street cred through the roof. Absolutely. Well, the 3 count came following the muscle buster that you've just referenced off the top rope onto exposed, like, the wooden slats that are on the bottom of the ring. That's the hardest part of the ring. He got the win. He's now the TNT champion once again, ending Darby Allin's title reign at just 29 days, which is crazy. I didn't think we'd see the switch that quick. Yeah, I don't know, if you can read too much into it. Like, maybe it indicates there's going to be a bit of a shift up for Darby. Maybe it indicates they're going to take TNT Championship in a different direction with Joe. Maybe somebody could come along and take it off Joe.
Well, funny you say that, because who appeared after the match, Sam?
It was only the beefiest boy Wardlow.
Oh, and he's got a new haircut. He's got short hair. He's got trimmed short back inside.
Just come on, Wardlow Joe.
I mean, yeah, it's a good.
I just want to see that forever.
They can slap the poo out of each other. Forever. Well, post-match, Wardlow made his return. He came running down to the ring. He got into a brawl with Joe. He attempted to powerbomb Joe, but Joe slipped out the ring. So instead, he just beat up some young boys. The ring
it's
crew.
like, look, Joe, you've gone, but this is what I'm going to do to you.
Yeah, well, it's very exciting. As you said, we need this match forever. Yeah. Just give us that at, what's the next pay-per-view? Revolution.
Hook it to my veins. Give me a best of 7. I don't care.
I feel like we'll have Darby in the mix, make it a triple threat, just because he'll want his revenge on Joe.
You can't just sort of like shoo Darby away from it when, it's a shock title change. He's going to want to get that belt back.
But that is all the news we have for video 1 today. We will be back later on. We've got lots of fun stuff coming to the channel, so stay tuned for all that. But in the meantime, Sam, have you got anything else? I want a coffee. That's what I want.
Yeah, I need a coffee.
Yeah,
I accidentally bought a cola energy drink, and I just feel like a fool.
This time?
Yeah.
I'll go and get your coffees. We'll see you later.